Broadcasting live, this is the Handicappers Report, brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers Report. Brian Nadeau with you here in Fort Lauderdale. A little bit of abbreviated Handicappers Report this morning. Seth's got the morning off. He's going to be in for racing across America at about 10 a.m. He's got Acacia Courtney right down here at Gulfstream Park and Naomi Tucker on a big day at Laurel as well. They've got 5 stakes up at Laurel. And key preps for the Black-Eyed Susan and the Preakness as well. So take note of that. It's coming up at about 10 o'clock. He'll also have Aqueduct with you all afternoon on their solid card. And I'm down here going to Gulfstream Park in a little bit. We've got 12 on tap today. Kind of a little calm before the storm. That is the Florida Derby, 2 weeks away from the Florida Derby. Looking forward to getting Seth down here. Actually, we'll be doing the Handicaps Report right down live at Gulfstream Park, both Friday, I think that's April 1st, and Saturday, April 2nd, Florida Derby Day. An absolutely loaded card, likely to have 14 races, I believe 9 stakes, 7 of them graded, and of course, to highlight the $1 million Florida Derby, a key prep for obviously the Run for the Roses on the first Saturday in May. But front and center here in Hollandale Beach on a 12:35 first post. We've got 12 races. That Rainbow Six is growing already, I believe, $250,000 in the gross guarantee. And somebody hit it last Sunday, so right back a week later, and we're already up to a large chunk of change. I think they're hoping to build that jackpot until Florida Derby weekend, maybe likely Sunday, but remains to be seen if we can get up there. People have been hitting it, so not a bad thing. And also a big payout at Santa Anita today as well. So if you're kind of watching some hoops later this evening, they're going to pay out their mandatory Rainbow Six. So load up that Capital OTB Bets account and fire. I know they're expecting about $4 million out in that pool. Tough sequence. So anywho, let's start it off at Gulfstream in the opener, 12:35 here. This is a $35,000 maiden claimer. We go 1 mile and a 16th on the turf for 3-year-olds. And the weather's really nice today. We're going to have no issues with the turf, at least right now, unless we get a flash storm. I'm not in the card. So always happy to be on the turf after what's been a pretty testing winter down here. I'll give the one-sheet selections. Obviously, I'll update them on the website with scratches once they come in. But in the opener, we go 8-10-9-5-2. It's a spread race. It's a race you're allowed to look for value. I'm going to do it with Sims, who I think finally might be in where he probably should have been in all along. He was an okay third on debut. 3 maiden special weights. On debut was the Tapeta. Second start was the turf from an absolutely brutal, impossible post. Third start was the dirt. So now we're going to kind of reverse it all. Maiden claimers here back on turf. He draws a little bit better at this 1 mile and a 16th. He was in the 11 hole going 1 mile 2 back, and it's just impossible. You can't win from there. So I think today, with some friends in here, Sims at a price can get it done in the opener. Irish King, I think, is clearly the horse to beat with IRAD, with David Fox, who's at a very, very nice championship meet down here. The post is a little problematic, though, so Irad's going to have to work out a trip. This horse doesn't have a lot of early speed either, but Irish King got to the turf last time at this level and ran very, very well, a fast closing 5th. He can improve off that. Carnivore is kind of a sneaky horse. The last time he was on turf, he was going 9 furlongs at a maiden special weight at 87-1. So he might get overlooked a little bit because of that. I don't know a lot about Jeff Hiles, but he's come down from Churchill Downs and had a very, very strong championship meet. So don't sleep on him. Corey Lannery's been riding the majority of his live horses as well. I'll quickly mention Legal Star, who might get overlooked in here because he was 84-1 last time. He didn't run poorly at all in his turf debut, and he's drawn better than a lot of the other ones I've mentioned. Leopardi, I don't really want anything to do with him. The 2 horse for Pletcher and Saez off the maiden special weight drop for La Penta and Eclipse Thoroughbreds. I don't know. He was 19-1 on debut, didn't run an inch. Now you can have him for 35. I'll let him beat me at probably an underlaid price. Let's go 8-10-9-5-2. This is the early pick 5 as well in the opener. We get to the Tapeta in race 2. It starts the early pick 4, I should say. These are 12-5 claimers, 3-year-old fillies going about 5.5. Another spread for me. It's a tough race. 3-1-7-2-5. Now I see plenty of speed in here. We're going to snappy 5.5, but Dominant Joy has been facing better and has a stalking gear. And like I said, in a race loaded with speed. Bill Therinos had a very, very good winter at Gulfstream Park, picking his spots nicely. He's going to run this one on the Tapeta for the first time, but Billy's up at Woodbine all year, and he's done very, very well on the Tapeta down here too. So he knows the score. He reaches for IRAD, and I think from a flow perspective, Dominant Joy is very, very playable in here. 21 Short was a distant third last time getting to the Tapeta. She runs a half furlong farther today, and she's another one with a stalking gear, gets up to 9 pounds from the rest of these with the apprentice Elsa Morrison aboard. So take note of that. Number 7, Unconscious, looked good wiring last time, but that was against maiden claimers. Now he's going to step up, but she is well drawn outside the other speed. I think that will help her. You get speed from Golden Isle down inside. High Arabian hasn't really done any running of late, but has been facing much, much better. Maybe she wakes up on the drop. It's a tough race, early pick 4, and in the early pick 5. Let's go 3-1-7-2-5. We go to race 3, back on the Tapeta, back at 5.5 furlongs. Fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up here in this $10,000 claimer. You know, this is a tough race because Alizé got up and won an impossible photo last time. She took advantage of a pace that just really melted down. Miss Big Spring set it that day. She's back in here today. I don't think she has to run as hard early to make the point, and that's why I wonder if Alizé, off such a big taxing win, maybe she regresses a little bit and she's not going to get that flow today. So I went to Aficionado, who was, behind Alizé. That would have been 2 back for Alizé, and she was okay. She was kind of a middling fourth, but she's tactical to sit the right kind of trip today, getting first run on the closers, including number 5, Alizé. Jose Ortiz gets aboard. Victor Barboza quietly having a very, very good championship meet, and she could be an okay price, too, on a class rise. I'm going to put her on top. Number 4, Miss Big Spring, should get loose again. And I know she didn't wire last time, and she gave it up late, but she ran very, very well, and everybody else that was close to her early was not close to her late. It was a much better run than it looked. So I'm going to come back to her, and I'm kind of fading Alizé a little bit today. I just don't see her reproducing that big, big run. I had her last time. She won an impossible photo, and I'm just kind of playing against her, doubling up today. 6-4 over the 5-1 in race 3. Maiden optional claimers in the 4th. We get back to the main track here. These are 3-year-olds. Florida breds, do not have to run for the tag, and I think that's significant here. We're going 6. Safi's got a pair in here. The 1, Vive Bien, the 3, Stab. Both of them private purchases. Both of them make the first start for the barn. Vive Bien absolutely ran his eyeballs out in an open maiden special weight at Tampa for Javier Negrete, a very, very low percentage barn. He runs an 86 buyer at 47-1 that day. Almost wired the field, was a good second in what was a very, very fast race for the level. Well, now he's with Safi. Now he's in this spot as a Florida bred where he does not have to run for the tag. If he reproduces that debut, and honestly, if he bounces a little bit but keeps it together, he's going to win comfortably because that was a huge effort. We'll see what we get today. You can't make up a bigger trainer change, though, and no disrespect to Javier Negrete, but, man, Safi's so good. We put IRAD on. It's go time here. Vive Bien on top. Stat, the other Safi, you're going to get a better price with Tyler aboard. $40,000 maiden claimers at Fairgrounds. Very key race, too. It was a solid effort that day. Was won that day. Disqualified and placed 3rd for kind of misbehaving a little bit, but it was early. It was not late. But I think the problem for Stat is I think he's better than everybody else, but his stablemate. So I put him underneath. Reddington was an okay 3rd last time in a good race for the level. He was a good 2nd on debut. He's in the mix here for Rusty Arnold and Luis Saez. But again, the Safis to me look best. bold plays, got some solid works on debut for Jenna Antonucci, but I don't think he'll be this kind, at least not today. Let's go 1 over the 3-2 in race 4. We sneak in a middle pick 4 in the 5th, and we get back to the Tapeta last time. No, we got one more Tapeta race in race 7. Back to the 5th, though. This is an $8,000 claimer. These are 4-year-olds and up. We're going that snappy, about 5.5 again. You're kind of getting the impression this early pick 5 is a real bear, and I'm taking all the one-sheet spots here. 1-8, 5, 10, 9. And Mike Tomlinson has been long overdue to get a win at the championship meet. And I've tried him about 6 times, hasn't worked out. The horses are running. The horses are not winning. And I don't know if it's just time for the barn to get a win or what, but Living Vicariously has not been in bad form. Now drops all the way to close to the bottom. Was in for 20 last time. Was in an optional claimer 2 back. Was in for 25 3 back. Now we're in for 8. But he's kept his speed, and I think he can control things, especially with the Minister of Speed, Amicia Jaramillo, aboard down inside. Let's break running and hope we forget to stop and get that long overdue win for a barn that should not be winless at the meet. Very, very solid Kentucky barn here. Number 8, Jetting Out off the Delgado claim. That's about all you need to know. Jorge Delgado up to about 36% now off the claim. Jetting Out with Junior aboard. We're tactical. We ran very, very well in a fast race for 8 last time. The winner came right back to win. Jetting Out, very, very dangerous from close range. Miracle Silver for Safi. Again, Elsa Morrison in the mix here. We're cutting back from 2 turns, and that's what could be a little tricky for excuse me, there we go. Back on the beam here. Could be a little tricky for Miracle Silver because you run the risk of getting run off your feet a little bit. So tread lightly there, but I do think he's a player. We go back outside. Balistico has a good race on the Tapeta, 2 back. Just draw a line through the turf route last time at Tampa. That race 2 back plays in here. Don't sleep on this one, and we'll quickly mention Backwoods Boogie as well for Mary Epler, who struggled a little bit at the meet. We go 1-8, 5, 10, 9, that middle pick 4 in race 5. Race 6, it's one of a couple of stakes on the day. This is the Any Limit. 3-year-old fillies sprinting 6 on the main track. It's a compact field. It's a good field. It's also a field where the 3 of the favorites are loaded with speed. Spirit Win freaked last time. She was awesome in her return. Strategic Bird is not letting anybody go early. Leviosa's down inside with a lot of gas. So you look at One Identity, who's 2 for 2, wired on debut on the dirt, stalked on the Tapeta last time. And if she can stalk again here under Jose Ortiz, she's got a great shot. My best bet of the day, because the speed is all going to play out in front of her. I like her in here. She's one of the favorites that has a hint of a rating gear. I think that's going to be very important. There's a chance that Strategic Bird can press a little bit, and that's good too. She won both her first 2 starts on the lead, including the Sandpiper at Tampa. She was a good 3rd last time in the Gasparilla. Outfox is a pretty nice horse for Bill Mott. She didn't pass the acid test here on Fountain of Youth Day in the graded stakes, but she ran okay. I don't think she's a graded stakes kind of filly, but Strategic Bird is very, very solid. This is her kind of game, sprinting, pressing. So she's going to get the right trip outside the other speed. I still wonder if just maybe it still zaps her in deep stretch. It's another reason why One Identity is my best bet of the day. And then Spirit Win. If you want to see a horse freak, go watch the replay of her return last time. She was devastating. Now she got to the front and then just beat an overmatched field. But wow, the way she did it, drawing off by over 15 for Ralph Nix, another guy who's having a huge championship meet. Tyler Gaffleone is here. They are 36% together at Gulfstream Park. If they let Spirit Win go early, they will never see her again late. But I think Strategic Bird to the outside and even Leviosa down inside, maybe they can kind of entertain her enough to set it up for One Identity. That's the best bet, the play of the day. 4-6 over the 5 in the Any Limit, and that means we're splitting the card. 6 down, 6 to go. We'll take a break here on the Handicappers Report. When we come back, it's Rainbow Six time at Gulfstream Park Studio.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467 and win more with Capital OTB. I'm Seth Merrow, and as serious horse players, we know that information is critical when placing a bet. With live streaming of more than 30 tracks, race replays, free past performances, and daily picks from professional handicappers, no one gives you more up-to-the-minute information than Capital OTB. Combine that with the best player awards in New York State, and you have everything a serious horse player needs to be successful. Win more with Capital OTB. Winning starts here.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian Nadeau with you here in Fort Lauderdale on a beautiful day in sunny South Florida. Gulfstream Park kicks off at 12:35 with a 12-pack. We've got through six to go. Seth Merrow on his way in. I believe he's going to get in for Aqueduct. And then, of course, he's got Racing Across America coming up at 10 a.m. Acacia Courtney right down here at Gulfstream Park. Acacia Clement, excuse me. I think I said that twice. Ron usually says that. I got to get that right. Acacia Clement at 10 a.m. as well as Naomi Tucker down at Laurel for Capital District purposes. They've got a huge card today, 5 stakes at Laurel. So good stuff coming up at the top of the hour with Seth and Racing Across America. We'll get back to it, though, at Gulfstream Park today. And I mentioned we got through 6. That means 6 to go. That means it's Rainbow 6 time, I believe. 250 in the kitty and the gross guaranteed jackpot for that Rainbow 6. It grows quick down here. We sole winner on last Sunday for upwards of 350,000. So we started fresh on Wednesday, and like I said, it's already building. So race 7 kicks it off right around 3:35. These are $35,000 claimers here, 4 and up. The last Tapeta race of the day, about a mile on the 16th. And, I was going to make Piece of Acadi my best bet of the day, the play of the day, but it's probably going to be a short underlaid price. So I wanted to get a little more value with One Identity. With that being said, Piece of Acadi is tough in here. He's a single to me, bold single kind of to start out the sequence. 5 over the 4-2. We go off the claim from Marty Drexler to Mike Maker. And I don't really think that's an upgrade because Marty does a really, really good job. B, he's had a very, very good winter down here in South Florida. But I just think Piece of Acadi might get loose in here under IRAD, and I think he's the right one in a race where, there's a lot of others I do respect, but I think he's got a tactical advantage over many of them. So I'm just going to hope IRAD breaks running, puts him on the engine, and in a relatively compact field, he gets loose and forgets to stop. Cold Lamar, if he runs back to the Tapeta win 2 back, he'll bury this field. He'll absolutely bury this field. You just kind of wonder, where did it come from? Runs a 91 buyer that day. An absolutely seismic win off the claim for Carlos David. Now, he didn't fire on the turf last time, but that's okay. He's not necessarily a turf horse. Now he's a first-time gelding as well. So that's a positive. I just wonder, and he got a perfect flow 2 back with the pace. I got to make him prove it again and show me he can get back to that huge win. So I put him underneath. Buenissimo is down inside with some tactical speed. He's going to take a drop off the Kelsey Danner claim. She claimed him 2 back from Billy Therinos, bumped him up to a 20 starter. And, he was okay to be 4th, but this is back with more his level today. So I think he can play with this group. I'm going to be a little bold with Piece of Acadi from a flow perspective. 5 over the 4-2. Late pick 5 time in race 8. This is a snappy 5 furlongs on the turf. It's an optional claimer. Fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. We got a firm turf course today. Weather looks like it's going to be great as I look outside here in South Florida. 8-5 over the 10-7 for me. Dancing Doll, I mentioned Marty Drexler. Look at this horse. You got to sift a little bit. Look at this daughter of Artie Schiller's turf form at Woodbine. Very, very solid. And I like her here because she's got tactical speed. Jose Ortiz gets aboard. He has just been on fire all week long. Dancing Doll from close range off a bit of a freshening for a hot trainer who's 32%, by the way, in turf sprints. That's the call here. Number 5, Igloo. 2 back was a very, very good second on the turf for Jonathan Thomas, who's having a good meet. Ran a 6 on the thoroughgraphs that day. Tactical speed here. Won't be too far out of it. Under Luis Saez, we go all the way outside. Harper's in charge for Christoph and Irad. Solid turf form last year. Trying to get back to it this year. But she did rebound last time, albeit on the Tapeta, albeit against Florida breds. But she was good wiring that day. She'll be close to, and she has a couple turf sprints that would make her a threat in here. And maybe now she's rounding back into form. Moon of Love as well. The turf race 2 back gives her a fighting chance at a price in here. 8-5 over the 10-7. We kick off the late pick 5. 3-year-old maiden special weight in the 9th. We go a flat 1-turn mile. Pletcher's got a couple firsters in here, and I'm going to go with both of them because the other afternoon horses, the proven horses, aren't much, and the other firsters might need the race. So, well, there's only one other firster. That's Dual Threat. I'll talk about in a second. 4-5 over the 8-3. We'll go Gasoline on top. I just like the pedigree a little more. The Damn Yellow Agate started her career 2 for 2, won the Grade 1 Frizette as a 2-year-old, never won again. She was 2 for 5 lifetime, but she was high quality. Luis Saez is here, a daughter, son of Curlin, excuse me. I think the 1-turn will work. It's a tough distance to debut at, but again, I didn't see a lot in terms of experienced horses in here. Pletcher's also got the 5 Bright Future for Mike Rapoli and Vinny Viola, St. Elias Stable. Irad is here, so you're probably going to have to take favoritism on this one. Second full out of the Dam. The other one was on race. The Dam Sophia Song was 3 for 8. She was second in a stake, so some quality here. Another son of Curlin. So we got the mile here. The 1-turn mile should be fine. Plenty of works on display here. I haven't matched them up, or I haven't seen the workout reports yet. But both of these horses, Gasoline and Bright Future, no pun intended, look like they might have a future. And I think that's good enough here. If you want a price, if you want a bomb, Logico for Antonio Sano really ran well last time in a no chance kind of 4th. Charge It ran off the screen. We'll see him in the Florida Derby for Todd. I think this horse can play at a big price, or at an overlaid price, put it that way, especially if Gasoline and Bright Future struggle with the 1-turn mile on debut. This horse had no flow chance, and he was wide every step of the way, and he still gutted it out to be 4th. He's going to have to pass them all here, but he gets Jose Ortiz, so there's a reason to think he fires in here, like I said, at an overlaid price. Touch Code, the half to West Coast. I don't know. He's just kind of stuck in neutral for Bill Mobb. Maybe the blinkers go on. 4th lifetime star. We haven't really seen a huge move forward. He wasn't that much better than Logico last time. I guess he can get a piece of this, but I'll play against. Dual Threat is the other firster in here. It's for Mott. An Into Mischief firster. 7th full out of the Dam. The other 6 really weren't much. The Apprentice, Elsa Morrison, gets aboard. Let's watch this one today. 4-5 over the 8-3. Late pick 3 time in our second stakes of the day. The Silks Run. It's a good one, too. These are 3-year-olds and up, sprinting 4-year-olds and up, sprinting that snappy 5 on the turf. I'm going to take a shot with Old Chestnut on the outside for Cassie. Hasn't run since the Highlander, the Grade 1 Highlander in August. I believe, and I'm pretty sure, the Highlander is the only Grade 1 turf sprint in the country not named the Breeders' Cup turf sprint. He was kind of a middling 7th that day. Returns with a slew of works. Returns as a first-time gelding. Returns with Luis Saez. Catches a field with plenty of speed to set him up. He'll be a square number. Old Chestnut from off the pace. Arrest Me Red, clearly the horse to beat. Will be a very short price for Wesley Ward. He was my pick in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Had to scratch out that morning. He's lost 1 time on the turf, and it was in a 2-turn race. Sprinting one turn on the turf, he's undefeated, and he's very good, and he's very fast. But I just wonder, with horses like Chessmaster to his outside, Warrior's Pride to his outside, if he's not going to get away with a loose lead, he's going to be pressured as the inside speed every step of the way. He hasn't run since late November. Maybe he needs one. Maybe he's not fully cranked for a bigger campaign. I'll put him in second. Yes, I'm free. I mean, you're going to get an overlaid price on a horse that was really good winning a turf stakes here, a grade 3 at Gulfstream last time in the turf sprint. He's going to trip out from just off the pace. If he doesn't regress, he ran a 2 last time. That's going to win here. If he does not regress, he's going to be a huge threat, and you'll probably get an overlaid price, A, because of Arrest Me Red, B, because maybe they don't believe in that win last time. I think he's a major player. I'm using him. Belgrano's probably not good enough to get there, but he'll make a dent late for Frank Russo. Let's go 10-3, 9-6 in the Silks run. The third stakes of the day, how could I forget about the Hutchison, which is going to be the comeback spot, not the comeback, but the second start of Nitrous Channel's career. And my goodness, he was so good on debut. Runs a 94, runs a 4 on the sheets. He beat Unikey, who came back to win last week, and he did it in very, very fast time, and he was the steam horse. They bet this son of Nyquist. No real surprise. He cost $625,000 for George Weaver, who doesn't really win on debut. So Nitrous Channel, it's a step up in theory. Not a lot in here, and he looks like he buries this field. He'll be tough. Number 7, Catton from an outside post with some stalking gear. Maybe if Nitrous Channel, fries all the other speed, Catton sits the right kind of trip for second. Provocateur for Todd. Didn't see it out in the Pasco up at Tampa, but he was an okay second that day. The winner was pretty good. His maiden win at Tampa was good, 2 back. I just don't know if he can play with Nitrous Channel. American Sanctuary is starting his year for Chris Davis, who's quietly had a good last couple weeks down here at Gulfstream Park. Jose Ortiz is here. This is a 2-turn horse, so this is way too short for him. I would expect him to run on late. I would expect him to pass a horse or two, and I would expect him to be much, much tighter in his next start in a 3-year-old graded stakes at 2 turns trying to get to the Kentucky Derby. Today is not his day. 4 over the 7-5, the finale. We get back to a firm turf course. We hope. We know how the winter and the weather in South Florida can be. These are $30,000 maiden claimers. 3-year-olds, we go a mile and a 16th. 5-6 over to 3-4, all the way to 6-12 in the PM from a long shot. Travel Guide got to the turf last time and was a sneaky good 5th. Go back and watch the replay. He ran a big number on the thoroughgraphs. He ran the best number on the thoroughgraphs. Now he drops a little bit in class. He's second-time turf. And I don't care who you like in this field. There are no great shakes, and they're impossible to trust. Travel Guide at a price will go on top. Dunnigan might get loose for Bobby DeBona. He ran an okay 7th on debut, going a mile on the turf. Bobby doesn't win on debut. This was a tough ask. This horse dueled early and often. Really didn't give it up that badly. Now, off that tightener, if he breaks running and shakes loose, he could get dangerous. Forever Ventura, we'll call it, for the Ventura. For JT, Jonathan Thomas off the maiden special weight drop. We stretch out. We have blinkers. Expect him to show a lot more speed under Luis Size. He didn't run on debut. He wasn't bet on debut. I don't know if he can run at all, but this drop is huge, and the stretch out will be too. Hashtag no wonder. If he runs back to the turf race 2 back, he's a huge player, and he's the one to beat. I don't know. He got absolutely demolished last time when he was in over his head in the maiden special weight. Now you wonder how he returns. He's a player. I wouldn't want an underlaid price on him. He doesn't have any early speed either. Tread lightly there. The nightcap, 5-6 over the 3-4 to wrap up a 12-race card here at Gulfstream Park. Don't forget, we're 2 weeks away from the huge Florida Derby card. Seth will be down here in person. Can't wait to see him. We'll have a couple Handicappers reports live at the track. He'll have Racing Across America too. That is 2 weeks from today, the Florida Derby on April 2nd. So I will bid you a fond adieu for this morning. Hope everybody back home is doing well. Betting some live horses, amp up that Capital OTB bets account. Obviously, we got the big day at Gulfstream. Aqueduct. And don't forget, Santa Anita is going to pay out their Rainbow Six, too, a little later. So expecting about $4 million in that pool. No reason not to get involved. So that's going to wrap it for me. We'll take a break here on the Handicappers Report. Seth will be up shortly at some point. He'll get through that Aqueduct card. And then at 10 a.m., as I mentioned earlier, Racing Across America, we've got Acacia Clement right down here at Gulfstream Park. And then Naomi Tucker is at Laurel. They've got a 5-stakes card today, including key preps for the Black-Eyed Susan and the Preakness a little later on. So best of luck. I'll catch up with you next Saturday.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falba. These two arch rivals hang ahead with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish in the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrow in the studio after a little delay, little car issue, but everything worked out. And in here now to take a look at a little Aqueduct. Brian Nadeau, thanks to him for going solo a little bit earlier with his look at Gulfstream. But now we'll shift our attention over to Aqueduct for this Saturday afternoon. And, of course, we'll be in a little bit later for live looks during OTB Live, so you can tune in for that. But we'll give you a head start here on a 10 race card today at Aqueduct. We'll kick things off. Oh, I do want to remind you, today there is a mandatory payout at Santa Anita. If you're playing or if you're a Rainbow Six player, mandatory pay today out at Santa Anita, and they're expecting, I think, $4 million in the pool. So keep that in mind for later today. But Aqueduct for today, kick off at about 1:20 with daylight savings now underway. The opener at Aqueduct, maiden 20 claimers going the one-turn mile. I have it 9, 5, 4, and 8. I will put total effort on top for Wayne Potts. The last race leaves a little bit to be desired, but I thought the two starts just before that, first start in the career was definitely good enough to take this. Subsequently, and I'm going number-wise in that first start. Subsequently, the numbers went kind of the wrong way, and they moved from maiden special weight to maiden claiming. It was a Pletcher Rapoli runner, was claimed out of the second start of the career, and moved into the Wayne Potts barn. And the first start for the Wayne Potts barn was good. That was the race 2 back. But as I say, last time, it wasn't quite as inspiring. But I'm going to look for this horse to rebound. Picks up Gomez, the nice apprentice down there, so gets a little bit of a weight allowance. And again, I'm hoping for a better effort. And there's a couple underneath that say this horse might have a little bit of an edge. And, relatively weak field. So this horse is lightly raced, just put in a couple of good efforts, getting 6-1 on the morning line, total effort on top. A light in the second spot. This horse has a little more recency. We're looking at 12-1 on the morning line here. And off the past few starts for this horse, I think is very playable. The 12-1, bettors these days focus so much on the buyers. I think the buyers will jump off the page at people compared to this bunch. They aren't spectacular, but they're okay with this bunch. And that 12-1 looks awfully generous to me. Speaking of buyers, 7-5 on the morning line is Bold Victory. Comes out of an 81 buyer figure, which towers over this field. But it was done last July in an off-the-turfer at Saratoga, and it was done against $75,000 claimers. They claimed the horse 2 starts back, Belmont last June for $50,000. Now today they're in for $20,000 off a layoff since last July. I just couldn't. This horse may run away and hide from this bunch. I couldn't pull the trigger on that scenario, though. So for me in the opener at Aqueduct, 9, 5, 4, and 8. Race number 2 at Aqueduct this afternoon, 1, 5, 2, and 4. I thought the 7 was also a little bit interesting. And at 5-2 on the morning line, we'll take some action. But I went with a 10-1 Merchants of Cool. I think if you're looking at the numbers, this horse stacks up okay, and there's some back numbers that are very good. Now, they were on the synthetic at Turfway, but has run decently at Aqueduct. And again, this is another one of those that this is not a spectacular field. This horse has shown a little bit of something, and I think enough that at that 10-1 morning line, I think you get some value, whether that'll hold or not, but there will be some value. Merchants of Cool, interesting to me. Great workout at 5-1. Claim 2 starts back for 25. It wasn't much of an effort, but off of that, they were confident enough to move into a state bred allowance, which I think is a tough class jump. The horse, ran 5th, and as I say, in that kind of a class jump, not surprising that it wasn't an improved effort. So now getting back to the 25 level, I think this horse probably, particularly with this field, maybe hitting the comfort zone. Another horse that's making a little bit of a concerning class move, Texas Basin. Early in the career, they thought enough of this horse to try a couple of stakes events. Subsequently, they were in some optional claimers. Last time, a starter allowance. Now they go into a $25,000 conditional claimer. So again, they're clearly giving up a little bit on this one, but it also may just be being a little bit realistic in here. Conformist, I think, with some early speed is also interesting. As I say, Mo Mischief on the outside. But again, it's a relatively weak field, so just looking for a little something maybe in here. In the second at Aqueduct, 1, 5, 2, and 4. Third race on this Saturday afternoon at Aqueduct, 8, 2, 5, and 1. I will put Magnetron on top and knocking at the door the last couple of starts. I like it a claim back for the owner and the trainer. They had this one claimed away for them 2 starts back. The subsequent effort, and that was a pretty good close-up second. The subsequent effort with the different trainer, also a pretty close-up second. So I think this horse has been knocking on the door. Always like these claim-back situations. Magnetron, number 8 on top. Second spot, number 2, Speeding Kid. Couple of third-place finishes most recently. Actually, we have a string of, 4 third-place finishes. So if second is Bridesmaid, third, been stuck in the wedding party for a while, but claimed last time for $10,000 off a decent little third-place finish, and down the page had been running against a little bit better, and again, had been competitive. So I think at this class level is a solid fit. Picks up Gomez, the solid apprentice in here. So Speeding Kid, I would think is going to be a player as well, solid player. And then Your Awesome Boss. Hasn't been seen since summertime up at the Finger Lakes, but Jeffrey Englehart's having a pretty good meet down there. This one, I think, if we get what we saw in those last few Finger Lakes starts, Your Awesome Boss could be interesting in here. Will we get that? I don't know, but I think the horse probably fits with this bunch down in New York. So, again, 8-1 on the morning line. Trainer's having a decent little meet. We'll toss that one in the mix. In the third at Aqueduct, 8, 2, 5, and 1. Fourth race at Aqueduct on Saturday. State Bred Allowance runners going a mile. 6, 1, 5, and 4 for me. I'll put Straight Skinny on top. Tom Morley, trainee, goes first off the claim for Tom Morley and was claimed out of a nice win. Now, the win was an N2L, a $25,000 N2L. So now moving into a State Bred Allowance. I said earlier, this is kind of a jump, a tough move. But Morley's pretty good off the claim. Horse is obviously in some good form right now. Trevor McCarthy on board. So I'll go Straight Skinny on top. 42 Ace in the second spot. This one might wind up being the one to beat. And morning line favorite. Yeah, 2-1 the morning line favorite. Charlie Baker trainee, Mike Luzzy riding. Luzzy has been on board the last 2 starts. A nice win 2 back and a good second last time. 3 back also won. 4 back second. So in the last 4 starts, a couple of wins, a couple of second place finishes. They've all been right here at Aqueduct. So again, horse that's in good form. Charlie Baker's having a good meet. Speaking of trainers that are going well at Aqueduct. So 42 Ace makes sense as the one to beat. And then Umbria in the third spot. Lightly raced for Linda Rice. This is a 4-year-old with only 6 career starts and hasn't been seen since November of last year to the 3-year-old season. Now comes back as a 4-year-old. Most of the races have been on the turf. The dirt race that was the debut seemed to indicate, oh, this horse doesn't particularly like the dirt. But subsequently, 2 starts back in October, put in a pretty good dirt race. So I'm going to attribute that first start to more lack of experience kind of a situation. Also had a little trouble at the start. And what we saw 2 back on the dirt is more what I'm going to look for this afternoon. And I think that's good enough to be in the mix here. Cut the Cord, 6-1. You know, if you get a price here, I wouldn't argue against Cut the Cord. The fact that they came out of the maiden breaker up at the Finger Lakes, then came down to Aqueduct and popped into 2 stakes races, indicates the connections had some real optimism about this one and didn't quite live up to it, but now stepping back into the more proper non-winners. So one, Cut the Cord maybe in a better spot today to kind of live up to the confidence of the connections. In the fourth at Aqueduct, 6-1, 5, and 4. Aqueduct's race number 5. Maiden claimers going 6. I have it 6-11, the 1 entry, and 4. Number 6 is Run White Rabbit. Lightly raced 4-year-old. Dropped down to this 20 level last time. Ran a lifetime best buyer figure. Not a great buyer, but a pretty good one compared to this bunch. It was the 4-year-old debut. It was the first time in for this claiming tag. So I think the horses found the level. Came back in good form off a little bit of a late season layoff. So Run White Rabbit on top for me. Second spot, Bird Ruler. Hasn't been seen since last May. That is clearly the obstacle you have to overcome here. But number-wise fits with this group. Class-wise probably does as well, because all the races of the career have been against significantly better. So this works both ways. The horse probably has a little bit of a class edge on this bunch, or at least is going to fit well with this bunch. But there's also the factor that we now come back for this reduced rate off a layoff since May. So you can go either way with this. I just thought, looking at this particular field, relatively modest, this horse probably is in a good spot for the comeback. And then the 1 entry, the plain one, Hot Latte, is a first-time starter for Rudy Rodriguez. That could be a little bit interesting. Never Early is a second-time starter for Rudy Rodriguez off a decent little debut last June for Todd Pletcher at that point, but it's a Mike Rapoli runner, and he has some runners with Rudy Rodriguez as well. But I will note, watch your scratches, because the plain one is in the body of the field. The 1A is a couple deep in the also eligible, so we might only wind up with half of the entry going, but I like both halves. In the 5th at Aqueduct, 6, 11, the 1 entry, and 4. 6, 11, the 1 entry, and 4. With the time, I'll keep plowing through here and skip our break. But 6th race at Aqueduct on Saturday. State Bred Maiden Specials going 6.5. I have it 4, 12, 10, and 13. Tin Pan Alley on top. Chad Brown, Peter Brandt. Decent looking debut up at Saratoga behind a next out winner. The 3rd place finisher was a next out winner as well. Obviously, there was a little bit of a ding or a setback. Has been on the sideline since that lone start, but it was good enough for potent connections. Now this one may come back with some added maturity and move forward even. So Tin Pan Alley makes sense. Will we get the 7-2? That seems a little bit generous given the nice start up at Saratoga, and it's a Chad Brown runner. But if we get the 7-2, I will take it. Eminency in the 2nd spot. I like Cupid as a win early sire. This one has had 3 starts so far. They've all been okay, so it's kind of living up to the win early potential. But I think is set, if not to break through today, to run well again. In the 3rd spot, Ria's Angel, the number 13. A couple of okay starts so far for Carlos Martin. The first start was a good 2nd. The 2nd start, a well-beaten 5th, but with a number that matches up with these. But I will note, the first start was for a tag. The 2nd start was for maiden special. So there's still some class question marks to answer for Ria's Angel. We'll find out a little bit more about him this afternoon. Actually, I had cross check marks and whatnot. I had 4, 12, and then I had the 10 in the 3rd spot. The 13 was down. Ria's Angel is down the 4th spot for me. And I kind of juggled around. But I eventually put Touch of a Buzz, the number 10, in the 3rd spot. Looking at that March 3rd workout, this one may have touted himself with that 34 in change bullet workout. That's a pretty snappy workout for, a state-bred first-time starter. So we shall see. You're getting 10-1 on the morning line there. So, again, for me in the 6th at Aqueduct, 4, 12, 10, and 13. Race number 7 at Aqueduct. Optional claimer starter allowance. 6 furlongs a trip. 1, 7, 10, and 6. Up with that's pretty nice on top. Again, Jeffrey Engelhardt having a pretty good meet, and this was part of that. That's pretty nice. Won the career debut back on February 18th and won it pretty nicely. The number wasn't anything spectacular, but matches up nicely with these, and you would think the way the horse won, maybe there's still some, some blue sky above. We'll find out more today, but I'll put that's pretty nice on top. Amore Fire for Wayne Potts. Last seen in a stakes race at Finger Lakes, excuse me, that was the end of September, so a little bit of a layoff, but the maiden breaker for the 50 tag at Belmont just prior was a pretty good effort. Seems to be working okay, not lights out or anything, but seems to be working well enough to think this horse comes back and maybe runs decently. And decently is enough in this bunch to be in the thick of things. Tweaked in the third spot, the number 10. Couple of starts so far, a maiden breaker for a 40 tag, and then tried this company last time, and as the 4-5 favorite, wound up fifth, but did have some trouble in there. I'll use this one again. That they thought so much of this one to, bet heavily last time, attract some attention. Nice workout earlier this month. Blinkers on today, so I think Tweak is definitely going to improve on what we saw last time, I think. In the 7th at Aqueduct, 1-7, 10, and 6. Race number 8, optional claimers, non-winners at 2. I have it 7, 6, 9, and 3. Sociatore on top. Good second, 2 back in a similar event. Last time stepped into an open allowance and still ran a pretty good second. The nice try 2 back was claimed. And again, Tom Morley pretty good off the claim, and this one ran pretty well off the claim last time. And in a fashion that says getting back to this level where the horse ran well 2 starts back is going to be beneficial, and the horse is very dangerous. Money in the Bank in the second spot, just in good form. 5 wins and 7 starts last year. So far in 1 start this year, it was back on New Year's Day, so there's been a little bit of a layoff. Ran third. Now, there was a voided claim there, but does come back at the same level, so we'll use that one in the mix, despite the voided claim kind of question mark hanging over his head. Prince of Pharaoh's in the third spot. Linda Rice trainee. Tossed in a clunker back on January 14th. Hasn't been seen since. Prior races were clearly good enough, though. And if they're going to give away 12-1 that the morning line suggests, I'll put that one in the mix. The 8th at Aqueduct, 7, 6, 9, and 3. Race number 9 at Aqueduct is the Cicada. These are 3-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs, 5, 6, 1, and 2. I'll put Manshun on top. Ray Handel trainee that had a career debut up at Saratoga in the middle of August, and it was a pretty good-looking debut. So, again, this is one of those that obviously a little hiccup, but has the potential to maybe come back with improvement and maturity. Manshun on top. Lady Scarlet ships up from Oaklawn most recently for Mike Maker, and the Oaklawn optional claimer was a win. So I think this horse is interesting and dangerous in the stakes debut today. And then Rosebug goes out for Bill Mott. Tried the Busanda last time. Ran 4th. Pretty well beaten 4th, but I like the cut back today. That was a 1 1/8. Cuts back to the 6 furlongs, which I think could be beneficial. In the 9th at Aqueduct, 5, 6, 1, and 2. In race number 10 at Aqueduct, 9, 8, 12, and 3. Backed by Gold. Central Banker, pretty good sire of win early types on the New York bred side of things. Trainer can have them ready, so we'll go in that direction. Phenomenal Woman is the flip side of the coin, has had plenty of opportunities and hasn't gotten it done. The last couple of races certainly aren't going to get it done. There were back numbers, though, that I thought were kind of good enough in a relatively weak field. And the weak field was another reason I went with the fresh face on top, the number 9. But I think Phenomenal Woman, if we get to a better number, and with the blinkers on today, maybe we do move closer to what we saw earlier in the career. And then Kiss Me Smile in the third spot, the number 12 for Mike Maker. Hoping this one will benefit from the first start and maybe move forward, and if so, could be a player. It's a weak field in the 10th and final, but I have it 9, 8, 12, and 3. All right, that takes you through Aqueduct. A little bit earlier, Brian Nadeau took a look at Gulfstream, so we'll wrap it up for the Handicappers Report for this Saturday morning. Top of the hour, racing across America. There's some nice stakes down at Gulfstream, so we'll catch up with Acacia Courtney Clement and get some of her ideas on the Gulfstream Stakes. A little bit later on, Naomi Tucker. She does the paddock commentary down at Laurel. And Laurel also has a very nice stakes day, like they do every few weeks during the winter. Fun down at Laurel. So we'll get some of her ideas on the Laurel Stakes action today. All of that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Racing across America at the top of the hour. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.